Hello everybody, welcome back or welcome for the first time on my channel. This is Brigitta speaking and this is the Bonnini channel. This video is kind of an experiment. This is the very first speed painting video that I tried recording in English. And here you can see I started with looking for a thumbnail. I knew I wanted some somber piece with not many elements, some kind of silent composition with an angel, a statue of an angel missing its head with birds drinking from some kind of fountain or a cup in the form of a shell. I knew I wanted some sort of spotlight to light up the main subject, the big swan you see here. And I knew I wanted it to be blue, but I also wanted to try out some kind of green reflections, green highlights somewhere in the piece. The idea was to have a dark, shadowy background with a blue neon spotlight, red highlights and green reflections with a white main subject made of tulips, a swan and a statue. Despite having a very clear idea in my mind, the main struggle was translating this idea into colors that actually worked together. After many hours of work, I understood that the problem, the thing that wasn't working out, the thing that was preventing all the colors from matching well, from creating a unified picture was actually the absence of defining shadows. You can easily see how the piece went from being too blue to too not saturated, too dull. Many times I have looked at this unfinished illustration in black and white and thought, oh well, this works so much better in black and white. Maybe I should discard my color idea, but I was so attached to that color scheme I was dreaming of in my head. I had to find some way to make it work. The fun part was rendering all the tiny details of the plumage of this one. That was something that I got right on the first try, while the flowers, the tulips you can see in the basin, you know, the shell-shaped basin, give me so much trouble. They looked like, I don't know, salad, because I couldn't place correctly the green highlights. They just kept getting greener and greener, and then whiter and whiter, paler, yellower. Nothing was working. Nothing was making them look like greenish, whitish tulips being lit up by a strong neon blue light. I painted layer upon layer upon layer, and this was a problem because all these layers were becoming somehow detached from each other. I don't know how to explain it correctly, but I could see that the flowers were missing a painterly texture. They looked like messy glazes on top of a poorly rendered sketch. I ended up flattening the whole thing and painting details over it to give it more cohesion. I spent so many hours rendering the foliage, and I think I did not record the whole process. There are so many hours of foliage painting that got lost. I ended up not wanting to record it because I was hoping to find an easy solution, you know, an ideal solution to make every element come together in a cohesive way. And I did not want to start recording until I stopped, you know, messing around trying to find solutions for this piece that just didn't want to work. This painting process actually taught me to plan ahead before starting to render. I was a bit too confident with this piece because it had very few elements in the composition and they were very big and apparently easy to paint. The problem was that without a solid undersketch, without a solid shadow and value mapping, all the rendering process was very painful to go through. See here, I started painting all the lights and shadows on top of the body of the statue without studying the anatomy underneath, and that was, oh boy, that was truly a moment of pure panic for me, because I knew I wanted this statue to have some kind of classical look. You know how classical and Baroque statues have soft forms, especially the female bodies. They are very round all over, they are very soft, and I did not want the body of the angel to look like the body of an actual woman. I wanted it to look like the body of an androgynous, womanly classical angel, you know, you get the idea. I tried many options before giving up and trying to draw over a model from a posing app I have on my phone. It's a free app. It's called Easy Pose. You have a few models to choose from. I chose the female one and tried to pose it, but it looked too much like, I don't know, a female superhero, a female fit model. So I scrapped that one as well. I reworked it infinite times before coming to a position that I liked, but I still, in the end, had to move some parts, redraw the hand, the thumb especially. I had to repaint the elbow, the arm, draw more dark and stark shadows to really make the white lit areas pop and look three-dimensional. Here you see the phone appeared basically out of nowhere because I did not draw it. I just took a stock picture of a phone, slapped it on the painting and then painted over it because at this point I was so frustrated with everything. I did not want to sketch a phone. I just placed it there to have some red highlights to contrast with the dullness of the piece. I think that worked as an accent color actually, so I was happy with that. These tulips really do look like lettuce right now. At least I had a lot of fun with the textures of this stone because I kept changing brush without trying to overblend all the brush strokes, and I think that overlaying, pastel brushes, bristle brushes, blenders, various types of digital rakes and digital wet brushes, that I think gave so much life to the surfaces I was working on. At some point, I got so tired of the blue, I decided to make a 180 and switch everything to green, only to regret it later and go back to blue using filters and gradient maps. But for the last part of this painting process, I worked on a green picture, just to, have something fresh in front of my eyes. Yeah, I think the green helped, but the thing that really allowed this piece to become what it is now was the darkening of all the shadowy areas. I also added more foliage in the foreground just to frame the angel and the basin and add more planes of interest to the composition, and I think that helped really put everything into perspective. You can easily see how the darker atmosphere makes the lit area pop. All the white areas look way more stark and way more defined this way. Many tears were shed over this piece. I think I worked on it for, maybe 1.5 months. I was devastated at the end of this painting process. But I think this is one of my favorite of pieces. I always make sure to include it in my portfolios. I used it as a background for my website. Yeah. I don't think I'll get tired of it anytime soon. It's 2 years old, but I still love it. I insisted, I did not give up. I changed a couple things, and most of all, I added shadows. And shadows are an artist's best friend. That's my art philosophy. I don't feel like being positive at all costs all the time. Sometimes art is painful, sometimes the art process is frustrating, and I think that being honest is, entertaining in some ways. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I don't have a regular schedule for uploads, but you can still find me on Instagram and follow me if you'd like to see more posts and more art from me. Until my next video, which I don't know if it's gonna be in English or in Italian, just, tell me what you like in the comments. Goodbye and thank you for watching.